Yellow Stone, cross the track, Broadway, Quill Meadows, 3-4 action.
David Stunts is an artist with no limits. Artist, photographer, videographer, painter. I just kind of, woke up one day and just started creating, and I never thought about it. 10 years later, or maybe 12 years later, I'm here. Well, my nephew wanted to rap. One day he came home and was like, yeah, man, I want to rap. So I was like, well, let me look around and, we're going to try to figure out us a game plan on how we're going to approach this industry. It's something that I never thought about really getting in. The only experience I had was, living in the same complex where DJ Screw lived. So I got a chance to kind of see Houston rap from the ground level. So it kind of gave me an angle, and I kind of knew where the music industry was in the city, So me and him just basically got together, and we figured it out. It was more of a trial and error thing. We learned how to do one thing. First off, we had to get him to learn how to record, get his music together. Then we had to learn how to do graphic design, and everything it was a progressive thing. I had to buy a camera, learn how to be a photographer. And what's crazy, at that time, cameras were transitioning from where it was only the big cameras. Now they were transitioning to the handhelds. Well, it was affordable for us to actually get the cameras at this point. I think I was maybe one of the first people to get my hands on one. And then after that, I just kind of showed up everywhere, taking pictures of everything. And I didn't realize I was actually growing with the culture. One thing I always hold high is opportunity. Opportunity, people take that for granted. Anytime anybody gave me an opportunity, I appreciated it. And, I always looked at it as a way for me to kind of show my worth, So, every opportunity I got, I did my best to put the best work I could at that moment out. And I think that's what ended up landing me in other situations. Man, Anthony Bourdain, that was a left field moment for me. What's crazy is I got invited to my buddy's barbershop, Bone, my partner Bone from Acres Home. And he was like, man, I got a production crew here, dog. I need you to come and holler at them because they looking to shoot an episode of a TV show here. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna pull up. Well, when I pull up, I still don't understand what's happening. I don't even really watch TV, so I don't even know who Anthony Bourdain is. Let's start there. So we sat there, and they realized that, I had enough access to the point where I could help them pull that episode together. And, and that's what we started doing from that point. And I think it was 3 weeks after that. And, we sat down with Slim, got him to agree to it. We got with the slab community, got them to agree to it. Then we sat down, and we asked Burns, and then they agreed to it. And then what's crazy is I wasn't even supposed to be in that episode. The dude that was I want to say he was the production supervisor, was persistent in me being in the episode. He was like, my brother, I think that you need to be the fourth person. And I was like, well, no, I don't think that, who am I? And he was like, it don't matter. Believe me, you'll thank me later. And I still owe him that thank you. I've always been a creative, all the way through school. Fun fact that I was always an award-winning artist in school, elementary, middle, and high school. So, being creative for me it was just a natural thing. It's just that back then, the culture was just growing into what we see now. So it wasn't that many avenues for artists to thrive in, everything that was happening, people were being first. Like, I think the first graphic designer that I ever seen that really represented the culture like that was supposed to was Mike Frost, and that kind of gave me an angle of, oh, we can do this, and then, I started seeing, Pen and Pixel, they did the masterpiece stuff, but to see something that, represented our city. We were real powerful people back then. We were very powerful people back then. I think, it's not the exact same no more, but to see that, it kind of inspired me to want to be able to be a part of that culture and grow with that culture, Another thing, Screw at the time was my neighbor, so I had a chance to I was at that man's house every day, I was young, maybe 16, 17, maybe 15 years old. They were a couple years older than me, and I got a chance to kind of grow from the ground floor. I got a chance to listen to him mixtapes, that's out now. I met Killer, man, this was one of the probably most career-defining moments for me. This is where we really created a pattern. We really pushed the line. We really, we dug in our bag, to be creative. And this is where I really cut my teeth and I guess became the guy, I was supposed to be. So, like I say, Killer is probably one of the, in comparison, obviously his skill level is extremely high, but, as far as being a creative, he's probably one of the most creative people I've probably ever met. And, that's just, personal opinion, but hey. But, being around him, that opened up other doors. I met Mike. Mike was with Score More at the time. Score More is Sasha. Sasha is the guy that's behind Tory Lanez. He was big with the touring back in the day with Kendrick. He was bringing Kendrick to Houston. Now he's behind a lot of the big tours like Travis Scott, and I want to say that they signed to Roc Nation. They do a lot of stuff for Roc Nation right now, but once I met them guys, and back then, like I said earlier, it wasn't a bunch of cameras out. So once they figured out, they were like, hey, we need you. I always kind of got the phone call to like, hey, we got a concert coming, we're gonna get you some passes to get in, and boom, there it is. Now I'm the behind the scenes guy. And then that led into other things. And like I said, everything is an opportunity. So I wasn't necessarily really asking for money back then. It was kind of like I didn't have the access, but it was more of a learning thing for me, because a lot of stuff I had to learn on the fly. A lot of things, I was just stuck and say, well, hey, Dave, we need you to do this right now. And I probably had never done it before, and boom. So it was a lot of failures, a lot of failures, a lot of missed moments. But it was also, I actually was able to take the lesson away from those moments, Another thing, too, is everybody at the time was trying to be, these big video directors. I think at the time, Mr. Boomtown, Mr. X, Hype Williams, they were out getting these big budgets for these videos. So a lot of guys that had access to cameras didn't want to do behind the scenes. They thought that was beneath them, back then. So that also, you know, it left a lot for me to be able to, you know, it was always something for me to do. But, you know, it also, I didn't know that the video industry would eventually evolve into what I was doing 10 years ago. You know, not everybody's a behind the scenes guy. Everybody's got a camera. Everybody understands, you know, what that access is. Man, what's crazy is to ask me the question of what was your plan in the beginning. I really didn't have a plan, you know. I just kind of got up every day and did what I wanted to do, you know, as far as art, doing something. Always finding something to do that had something to do with art. And, you know, if I had to tell you what happened, I would literally tell you that it was all by accident. But once you get, you know, to certain places, you realize that nothing is by accident. And so I just really, I guess I don't have no words. It was just more of a, you know, I put my head down and started walking on faith, and, you know, faith led me here, you know. So if I was to tell, you know, a youngster, you know, give him words of advice, I would tell him, like, bro, don't give up, stay the path, stay consistent, and have faith. You're going to end up where you need to be.